Hi guys. So today we are going to go through the steps of the scientific method. When we first start in science, you need to learn these steps. We're going to figure out who uses it, what is it, and why you should care. Please follow along with the PowerPoint as I go through. Everyone uses it every single day. Yes, even you. The scientific method is a way to solve problems. Do you have any problems to solve? Any big or any small ones? Do any of these sound familiar? Where are my shoes? What should I have for lunch? What class do I have next? Did I do my schoolwork for that class? What's the cure for cancer? Which deodorant works the longest? All of these are great questions that we can research using the scientific method. So let's begin. There's 6 steps to the scientific method. We have the problem. So first we have to figure out what problem we're trying to solve. We have information on the problem, which is our research. We form a hypothesis. The hypothesis is the guess that goes with the problem. Your experiment is what you do to figure out your problem. Your observations are what you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you taste, those kinds of observations, what you feel, and then you have a conclusion. By following these steps in order, you'll learn about your question. Notice that it has to be in order. That's very important. Let's start with a problem. This is the question that you're trying to answer or the problem that you're trying to solve. Try to narrow it down. Be very specific. If you have a big problem, try to take it into smaller pieces, smaller chunks. Okay, we start with information. This is where you gather data about your question. You can look at books, you can look at magazines, reports, experts, your past experiences. You can go on Google and do some research. Make sure you find research that is not on the wiki page. Okay, make sure you go on and you look for information and research on your question. Once you've done your research, you have a hypothesis. That's an educated guess, meaning you use context clues, you use your research to come up with a prediction based on what you found. What do you think the answer is going to be based on your research? What do you think is going to solve your problem based on your research? The next thing that you have is the experiment. It's broken into 2 parts. You have the materials that you need, and then you have the procedure that you need to do. The materials is a list of equipment that you're going to need for the experiment. The procedure is a list of the instructions that you need to follow the experiment. So there's 2 parts to it. In your case this week, you'll be doing an airplane experiment. So you're going to need materials to make paper airplanes. You're also going to need a list of instructions that you'll need to follow the experiment. That way, if somebody wants to do your experiment again, they have an idea of what you did so that they can duplicate it. Observations. Once you start doing your experiment, you're going to collect observations. Okay, that's the collection of information and data from the experiment. You'll put that data into a table eventually so you can make a graph for your experiment. It's charts, graphs, written work. That's what happened. So think of your 5 senses. Okay, you have what you saw, you have what you heard, you have what you smelled, you have what you touched, you have what you tasted. Those are all that you use for your observations. And you can record these things as well. Once you've done your experiment, you've collected your data, your observations, you're going to make a conclusion. What did you find that answered the question? What did you find that answered the problem? It's okay if it turns out that your hypothesis wasn't correct. You learned that that didn't solve your problem. After you've come to your conclusion, then you report your findings. Okay, and one of the most important parts of the scientific method is to report to others on your findings, so that if somebody else has the same problem, they have an idea of how to or how not to fix it, and you'll help others learn. So this is the scientific excuse me, this is the scientific method. I'm sorry, I was trying to do two things at once there. The 6 steps to the scientific method: the problem, the information, the hypothesis, the experiment, the observations, and the conclusion. Once you've figured out those vocabulary words and what they truly mean, I want you to go ahead and do an experiment this week. Let's start at the beginning though and start with vocabulary.